In the previous part, we established the Ackerman condition and the bicycle model for the turning radius. Now we take example 7.4, the trapezoidal steering mechanism. The data are a track of 2.4 meters, an arm length of 0.4 meters, and a ratio W/L of 0.5. We compare its delta O versus delta I characteristic with the Ackerman condition for several arm angles beta. From triangle ABC, we derive equation 7.23. Figure 7.9 shows that a beta near 10 degrees follows Ackerman best, while delta I stays below 50 degrees. A Python check gives an optimum beta near 14.25 degrees. This slide puts a number on how good a linkage is. We define the error parameter E as the difference between the outer steer angle produced by the mechanism, delta DO, and the Ackerman outer angle, delta AO, at the same inner angle. That is equation 7.25. Figure 7.10 gives three observations. First, E is 0 at delta I equal to 0 for every beta, so every mechanism is exact going straight. Second, a small beta gives a positive error at small angles and a strongly negative one at large angles. Third, a large beta is negative from the start but changes more slowly. So no 4-bar linkage is exactly Ackerman everywhere. Example 7.5 is advanced material, so we keep it short. Toy cars and small mini Baja vehicles often drop the differential and use a locked rear axle. We must show that this cannot roll without slip in a turn. The inner rear wheel speed is proportional to our 1 minus W/2, the outer one to our 1 plus W/2. Equations 7.26 and 27. A locked axle forces the two angular speeds to be equal, while the two radii always differ. That contradiction is the proof. In practice, the inner wheel is unloaded and spins, while the outer wheel carries more traction. Dropping the differential suits only small, light vehicles. Example 7.6 looks at a rear-wheel steered vehicle, again advanced material. This layout is used where low-speed maneuverability matters, typically forklifts. We must show that the kinematic steering condition keeps its form. The idea is to flip the diagram. The turning center now lies on the extension of the front axle, while the geometry between the two steerable wheels is unchanged. The result is equation 7.30. The difference of the cotangents still equals W/L. 2 points to remember. First, the turning radius is much smaller than for a front-steered vehicle of the same size. Second, this layout is unstable at high speed. Example 7.7 rewrites the steer angle equations in a form that suits electric and autonomous vehicles. A rear-wheel drive car has equal tracks, and its drive wheels roll without slip. Given the inner rear wheel speed omega I and the outer one omega O, we express the steer angles of the front wheels. First, each rear wheel gives one radius expression, and we eliminate our one between them. Then we substitute into the front wheel geometry and obtain equation 7.31 for the inner wheel and 32 for the outer one. The yaw rate follows directly from the outer wheel speed. Example 7.8 extends that result to a vehicle whose front and rear tracks differ. Race cars fit wider rear tires for grip, so WR exceeds WF. We still start from the two rear wheel speeds, but we eliminate the radius with the rear track and relate the two steer angles with the front track. The results are equation 7.37 for the inner front wheel and 38 for the outer one. Note that the book misprints the numerator and a sign in the denominator of 7.37. In short, the rear track sets the turning radius, the front track sets the steer angle difference. Example 7.9 treats independently driven rear wheels, a topical case for autonomous vehicles, mobile robots, and lunar rovers. Each drive wheel has its own controlled motor, and the steerable wheels turn more than 90 degrees either way. The question is what ratio omega O/omega I the controller must hold so that both rear wheels roll without slip. The answer is equations 7.42 and 43, written from the outer or the inner steer angle. One implementation note matters. The book writes delta O and delta I, but they must be read as tangent delta O and tangent delta I. Example 7.10 answers a question many of you ask: why race cars do not use Ackerman steering. The Ackerman condition is exact only in a slow turn, where the tires carry almost no side slip. A race car is the opposite. A fast turn means large lateral acceleration. The tires work at large side slip angles, and the inner wheel is strongly unloaded. The higher the load on a tire, the smaller the side slip angle needed for peak lateral force. So the inner wheel must be steered less than kinematic steering asks, and the difference between delta I and delta O shrinks or even changes sign. The last slide of this part combines two short examples. Example 7.11 is the speed-dependent steering system. The idea is natural. The steering wheel should be light when parking and heavier as speed rises, so steering never becomes too sharp at high speed. Example 7.12 tells the history of the Ackerman condition. Early 4- and 6-wheel carriages always left tire marks in a turn, which is why three-wheelers were so common. The geometric condition for a front-steered carriage was given by George Langensperger in 1816 in Munich. Rudolf Ackerman, his patent agent in London, showed it to English carriage makers. Next, we study vehicles with more than two axles.